So The Last of Us Part 2 is a very controversial video game. It's so controversial that even some characters, in specifically Ellie, Joel, and Abby, they were a trending topic on Twitter when the game was released, like for a couple days. Like, that's insane. That usually doesn't happen that much. Like, when a game releases, on launch day, well, maybe the game itself is trending topic, but not like individual characters. That's not super often, unless the story is powerful or unless it's very controversial. And, it's the case with this game. Naughty Dog had a very ambitious game in mind, a very ambitious proposal, and it was this game. It was very ambitious in a way that they went with a very special way of looking at things, right? And I'm going to actually explain that in this video. Now, first of all, let's get rid of the quick stuff. Graphics, music, gameplay. I think it's undebatable. I think we all know how at least the graphics and the music is insanely good. We cannot debate that. The graphics being in a 2013 hardware, that looks very good. That looks very, very good. Those graphics, they don't feel like you're playing on a 2013 console. It feels really good. It's very realistic. The animations are smooth. I like it. Music is beautiful. Gustavo Santaolalla, he's amazing. And obviously, gameplay, I think gameplay is not perfect. I played better action games and I played better stealth games. But at least the combination of both, I think they do a good job at combining both action and stealth. I think it's not a bad it's not a bad formula. It's not bad how they did it. It pretty much follows what they'd done back in the past with The Last of Us Part 1. They just kind of refined it a bit more. You have a bit more options, hiding with a tall grass. You can go under cars or under beds, and so much more. Like the small things, for example, you can make a silencer for your gun so you don't make noise with your gun. So it's pretty good. I like it. Gameplay is good. It's not perfect, but it's good. But here comes the big part of the whole situation, which is the story. The story is crazy. Now, first of all, before I go with the story, let me introduce myself very quickly. I am Alex Blanco, also known as Alex White, and this is my brand new English YouTube channel for gaming. I do Spanish gaming in another YouTube channel, but I wanted to, introduce myself in the English community and bring out my opinions. So, hey, don't forget to leave a like button, and why not subscribe and hit that bell button and that bell notification. I think it's, it supports the creator in a free way without paying money, and you're supporting someone for free, and I think it's pretty good. So anyway, guys, Last of Us Part 2 story. It's insane how Naughty Dog went with this story, because it's very risky. Now, does risky mean good? Well, it can mean both good and bad. It can be good because at the same time, hey, they are going away from the whole comfort zone and they're trying new stuff. They're trying new formulas in storytelling and character development. They're trying new stuff, and I think that's good in a way that, hey, at least they're not going through the easy route. They're not doing the easy way of doing things, right? They could have done just a simple, Joel and Ellie adventure again, just like in the first game, with another objective in mind, but Joel and Ellie, and that's it, and they meet some characters along the way and some foes and things, and that's it, right? They could have gone the easy way, and it would still be a success, because the characters in The Last of Us Part 1, they were so powerful. Ellie and Joel, they were so powerful. People would pay for a second game, even though the story would be simple. They wouldn't mind that much. But at the same time, the risks they took with this second game, they are bad in a way that I think the way they approached to the storytelling of this game, it is a bit wrong. I think they did big mistakes in terms of making us feel good for some characters, or even to empathize, right, with some characters. I couldn't empathize at the beginning with Abby, for example. Abby is the character. By the way, I'm gonna show spoilers. I'm gonna talk about spoilers. If you haven't played the game, or you don't know the story of the game or whatever, I encourage you not to watch this video. But anyway, Abby, at the first hour playing with her, for the first hour, after 10 hours of playing with Ellie, I couldn't empathize that much with Abby. In the first hour, I was like, oh my god, why this? Why her? But it is true that I slowly started to empathize with her and I slowly started to like her. But I totally 100% understand the people who didn't like her and the people who hated her, because absolutely, Abby is a bit controversial in a way that she kills Joel. And no matter what they try to do, people will hate her. People won't like Abby. And believe it or not, people don't forgive that. And and the way they did the Abby part, I think, is wrong, because you're playing like 10 hours with Ellie, and then suddenly you're playing with Abby for another 10 hours. That's such an abrupt way of actually telling you, hey, it's now time to know Abby and understand her situation and understand her motives and why she killed Joel. Which I don't dislike that, but I don't agree with the way how they did that. I think that it should have been more of a smoother transition between Ellie and Abby. I think it should have been more like you play with Ellie like for 3 hours, and then you play with Abby for 1 or 2 hours, and then Ellie and Abby and Ellie and Abby, and see more of a parallelism between both of them. See them more as a doppelganger relationship, and not so much as a distant thing like 10 hours Abby and 10 hours Ellie. And it's just you feel like when you're playing with Abby after 10 hours of Ellie, you feel like you're disconnecting from the story, from the main story. You're like going away from that, and you're just playing as Abby, and you're just knowing her story. Yeah, it's cool, but a lot of people don't care about Abby because it just disconnects so much from Ellie, and especially after killing Joel, it's so hard for people to empathize with Abby. I did in the end empathize with Abby. In fact, in the ending, when Ellie is about to kill Abby, I was actually, in my playthrough, I was actually, wow, I mean, don't kill her. Like, I don't want you to kill her. Because at the same time, I felt bad for Abby. I just felt bad for her. I thought that Abby was just, for some reason, even though I kind of hated her for killing Joel, at the same time, I understood her story, and I didn't dislike her at the end. I was not like the biggest fan either. I prefer Ellie. I think Ellie is a cooler character. She has more of a background in the saga. I just like her more. But it is true that the way they did the whole Abby part is wrong. And that's what makes people get so mad with this game, is that they're telling you to play for 10 hours straight with a character that people usually don't care. And that is a big problem. Because they just, like, she killed Joel. And not only she killed Joel, but you gotta play with her without knowing nothing about her until obviously you play more with her and you learn more about her. But it's so abrupt. It's so violent. Like, bam! 10 hours Ellie and now 10 hours Abby. It's insane. And I think another big mistake of this game is the length. I think the game is too long for what it is. I think the storytelling in some moments is very, very slow. Like, I think some sequences of the game could have been literally cut or maybe just reduced to 2 to 3 minute sequences and not like 1 hour long sequences. I think they made them too long. Some sequences and some flashbacks, I think they were too long. Like, for example, Ellie practicing like the sniping with Tommy, that flashback with Tommy. Like, that whole sniping part is just too long for nothing. Like, it doesn't really add anything to the storytelling. Yeah, like, Ellie has this relationship going on with Tommy as well, not only with Joel, but also with Tommy. She's getting along with him. Yeah, but you don't need to really do a whole sniping section that takes like 10 minutes to complete to make that point, right? And so the game is full of those moments of useless storytelling. And the game is like 25 hours long in total, and I think it should have been maybe down to 15 to 17 hours long. Just like the first game, around 14, 15, 17, depending on how you play. But I think it should have been like the first game. More or less between 15 and 17 hours. I think it should have been. That would have been perfect. That is one aspect. And the other aspect I dislike from this game is the whole marketing around this game. The publicity, how they made the advertising around this game. the whole fact that in the trailer, in one of the trailers they announced with the Last of Us Part 2, in one of the trailers you see that someone is covering Ellie's mouth, and then Ellie turns around and she sees Joel. In the real game, that's not happening. In the real game, that's Jesse, that's not Joel. So the problem is that in the trailer, they're giving you a very different message of what the game is about. And a lot of people have this expectation of, oh, so, I mean, I don't know if Joel is going to die or not. I mean, it could happen, but, at least we're going to have a small adventure going on with Joel, and Joel is going to be with us as a secondary character every now and then. That's kind of what the trailers make you think. And it doesn't happen. And it's not true. Joel dies in the first 2 hours of the game, and goodbye, and I think that's wrong. And also something I thought that was wrong was the embargoes with press reviews. They were not allowed to talk about Abby. They were not allowed to talk about certain things about the game, even though they were not spoilers really, or very small hints. They were not allowed to do anything or to show anything or to talk about anything. Just they were allowed to just speak about very specific things, very few things. And when a game is mainly based not only on its good, refined gameplay and graphics, of course, but when a game is mainly based on its own story, if you can't really talk with freedom about the story, even if it's without spoilers, but if you can't talk about the story with freedom as a reviewer, I think you cannot be 100% honest. And I think you're just misleading your readers or your viewers as a reviewer, because you're not really telling the whole thing. You're not really explaining the whole situation with this game, what is really going on with this game, and what it is really about. And here's the thing. This is not the reviewer's fault. This is really Naughty Dog's fault or Sony's fault. I don't know who's in charge with the embargo thing, if it's Naughty Dog or Sony, but it's the embargo's fault. It's how they designed the embargo, the conditions for reviewers not to say certain things about the game. And I think that's wrong. And that's a big mistake for the game. So it's that. It's the whole Abby thing, empathizing with her. I did, but I understand why people didn't. And the whole marketing around it, the length of the game, those aspects, I think that's what made people very, very mad with The Last of Us Part 2. Now, I would like to know your opinion about Last of Us Part 2. Like, what do you think in the comment sections down there? What do you think what's good about this game and what's bad? Now, in general, I loved this game. I'm playing it for the second time. I loved it. But I just wanted to point out the bad things about this game. And just to know if you guys would agree or not, or if I'm crazy. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down there. And of course, if you're new to the channel, which you probably are because this channel is brand new, hit that like button. And of course, click that subscribe button and click the bell notification so you know when I upload more videos about video games and tech and all that beautiful stuff that is going on in the video game and technology world. So, yes, have a lot of fun, enjoy life, and remember that life is beautiful. See ya, guys. See ya.